So this evening I'm going to walk you through a corner to corner prep border. Now you could use this border if you didn't want to do a double crochet around. That is a UK terminology. It would be a single crochet if you were in the US or using US terminologies. So this prep border only requires double crochet and chains, and we're just going to be working in between all the blocks. So I've made a test patch here of a 10 by 10 corner to corner, and I'm going to use purple as the contrast colour so you can see the prep border. So I'm just going to create a slip knot and start the bordering. Okay, so going to start by creating a double crochet in any of the gaps between the blocks, anywhere you wanted. I'm going to start around the middle of the row. So I'm going to put the slip knot on my hook. So I've got one loop on my hook already, so I can do a standing double crochet. So to create the standing double crochet, you go into the stitch and pull through the loop. So you've got the 2 loops of a double crochet, and then yarn over and pull through to complete a standing double crochet. Okay, now this bit is personal preference. You can either chain 2 or chain 3. Now personally I like to chain 2 because it helps keep it snug against the project. But if you wanted, you could chain 3. It all depends how many stitches or the design you want to go into the prep border. So I'm going to chain 2 as that's my preference. Again, you could chain 3 if you wanted it a bit looser. And then straight into the next block between the lying down block and the standing up block, I'm going to put another double crochet. And then chain 2 again, and again between the standing block and the lying down block, just put another double crochet. And I'm just going to repeat this all the way around. It is a very simple prep border so that your sides are nice and smooth, ready for a border to go on top. And see, as you can see, the chain 2 keeps it nice and snug against the project. I'll just do some chain 3 so you can see the difference the extra chain makes. As you can see, it's a bit looser, a bit freer than the chain 2. So I'm going back to my chain 2 now, so I'll just pull these 2 back. Chain 2. Now when you get to the corners, I'm going to chain 2 again, and I'm going to go into the bottom of the chain bit here. You can either go into the last stitch if you wanted, if you didn't like the way it looked in the chains. I'm going to go into the chain bit. So I'm going to go through the back bump of the chain, but then I'm also going to push it through the chains themselves, so I've got the V of the chain on my hook. Just helps it look a bit more symmetrical, and create the double. Now because we're creating a corner, we need to chain 2 and go back into that same space for another double. chain 2 and into the next block of the row, do the double, and that's your corner created. So when you come back to work, you would work into that chain spaces there. And it keeps it nice and smooth with the chain 2. We'll do the next corner with a chain 3 and we'll see how it looks with the chain 3. So let's do a chain 3 across this row. So on this side of the square I'm going to be doing a chain 3 and a double crochet, but again if you're doing this you would pick which chains you wanted, whether it was 2 or 3, and then stick with that all the way around. Very quick prep. My ring keeps spinning, I'm just going to take it off. And again we chain 3 and into the, well this is my starting one, so into the bottom of that stitch we'll do the double crochet, chain 3 for the corner because we're doing a chain 3 rows. So in the corner you would chain the same amount you were on the straight. And that stitch is a little loose, so it doesn't really help with the visual. Pull that a bit tighter, then you can see a little bit. Anyway, you get a bit of a bumpier corner with the chain 3 because you get a bit of a bumpier side. See, it's a bit lacier. If you wanted a lacy type look, a chain 3 would be good, as opposed to the straight edge of a chain 2. So I'm going back to a chain 2 and we're just going to go round the rest of the corners until we're at the end. back to the start again. You just go into your first double crochet and do a slip stitch, chain 1, and cut your yarn and pull it out. And that is your prep border ready. If you wanted to keep the same colour for your next round of a border, so if you wanted to do a double crochet around or a fancy border, if you wanted to use the same colour, you don't need to cut it. You could just go into the chain spaces or the double crochets, whatever type of border you wanted to put into it, you would just carry on if you were using the same colour. And that's how the prep border is done. See, the chain 2 sides is very straight, and then you've got the chain 3 where it's a bit more lacy and loose, and the chain 3 corner, and then you've got the chain 2s, which is very snug. The chain 2 is the one I prefer. But that's your prep border, and I hope this helps you with adding a border to your corners.